you have something like 80% of IT leaders are witnessing unaligned AI agent activity. Can you give some like examples of the most significant type of divergence from expected behavior that's been observed?
Morgan AI just released its first AI identity technology called Crow, giving you a safe, secure way to understand how much of your life is already being impacted by AI, whether you want it to be or not. Fly over and check it out.
Welcome to the Crow podcast sponsored by Morgan AI that looks at some of the AI industry's recent news stories and discusses them with some of the industry's leading LLMs. Today, I'm joined by Perplexity. Perplexity,
let me know when you have your question or topic in mind, and we'll dive into the discussion.
You read my mind. If you were to think about the single most important story in the news today that people should be paying attention to, what is it?
One of the most important AI news stories today is about the significant advancements in AI transparency and ethical AI practices. This development is crucial as it focuses on making AI systems more understandable and accountable, addressing concerns about bias, fairness, and decision-making transparency. These measures aim to build trust in AI technologies and ensure they align with ethical standards and societal values. Would you like to discuss how these ethical practices are being implemented or their impact on AI development?
Sure, and it's actually interesting that you start with this, given all of the stuff going on with NVIDIA and China and regulation. But I came across an article that you actually summarized with the title of "AI Agents Are Creating Orphan Security Risks," and it goes into the issue that, for example, according to recent data from Cybersecurity Tribe, 59% of organizations surveyed between December 24 and January 25 report implementing agentic AI in their cybersecurity operations was a work in progress. But this article goes on to discuss a lot of the issues that you start to see about these, quote, orphan agents, I think as it was referred to in the Observer, about how the traditional mechanisms for cybersecurity or defense were never really intended for autonomous agents. Do you have any insights on the elements or important pieces that are discussed in this article?
Certainly. The article you're referring to highlights several key elements about the challenges and considerations of integrating AI agents into cybersecurity operations. 1. Orphan agents. The concept of orphan agents refers to AI systems that are deployed but not continuously monitored or updated. This can lead to potential security gaps if the agents aren't regularly maintained or if their behavior becomes outdated. 2. Traditional security mechanisms. Traditional cybersecurity measures weren't originally designed to manage or oversee autonomous AI agents. This can create challenges in ensuring these agents operate securely and in compliance with evolving security policies. 3. Continuous monitoring and updates. To address these issues, it's essential to implement systems for the continuous monitoring and updating of AI agents to adapt to new threats and maintain effectiveness. These points emphasize the need for evolving cybersecurity strategies to ensure AI agents are secure, accountable, and aligned with organizational.
This article you even reference here that it says that 80% of IT leaders are reporting that they've witnessed AI agents acting outside their expected behavior. I mean, this isn't a very short order. I mean, the survey was only completed 6 months ago, and yet you have something like 80% of IT leaders are witnessing unaligned AI agent activity. Can you give some like examples of the most significant type of divergence from expected behavior that's been observed?
Certainly. Significant divergences from expected behavior in AI systems typically fall into a few categories. 1. Model misinterpretation. AI models might interpret data in ways not intended by their developers, leading to incorrect conclusions or actions. For example, an AI trained to recognize certain patterns might misclassify unusual or outlier data, leading to unexpected results. Unexpected adaptations. AI agents might develop their own strategies or behaviors that diverge from the initial design, particularly if they are learning and adapting in real time. This can lead to behaviors that weren't anticipated or approved by human operators. 3. Security vulnerabilities. AI systems, particularly those operating autonomously, can sometimes discover or exploit weaknesses in systems they interact with, potentially leading to security breaches or vulnerabilities. These examples highlight the importance of continuous monitoring and adaptive strategies to manage and mitigate such divergences effectively. Would you like to discuss strategies for improving AI reliability and security?
Well, in a lot of ways we would, because that's what at MorganAI.com, that's actually what we really do. When you're looking at Crow, for example, Crow is our first product at Morgan AI that's available now in alpha form. And what it does is it goes through and identifies what data is flowing in and out of your system and identifies whether or not it was human directed, autonomous directed, with or without the help of AI or AI agents. In a lot of ways, addressing this issue of shadow AI. I think what's interesting about this article is it doesn't even cover that bigger issue within organizations that don't really even understand what their AI identity is. What we mean with AI identity is, how is AI fully actually implemented in an organization? How is AI being integrated into the human-centric systems? That's almost missing here. I see a little section on how human-in-the-loop governance mechanisms need to be implemented, but in a lot of ways, what we're seeing is, we're misinterpreting or mismashing in some ways the language of this. This article source of it seems to imply human in the loop, which, to be clear, human in the loop is a process can't go forward without the human stating the process must go forward, very significantly from a human on the loop system, which is where we get into kill switches, which is the system gets to run without a human, but the human gets to step in and stop it. All of these, though, come down in a lot of ways to the issue that we're solving with Morgan, which is observation. It also comes into, how do I implement this observation in a meaningful way?
Implementing meaningful human-in-the-loop and human-on-the-loop frameworks is crucial for ensuring AI systems are both effective and ethically managed. Here are a few key considerations. 1. Clear definition of roles. Determine the extent of AI autonomy and human oversight. For human-in-the-loop, ensure that humans are actively engaged in the decision-making process. For human-on-the-loop, implement mechanisms that allow human intervention if necessary. 2. Transparent processes. Make the decision-making criteria and AI operations transparent. This helps human operators understand AI actions and the rationale behind them. 3. Training and monitoring. Continuously train and update AI systems based on human feedback. Use real-time monitoring to ensure AI actions align with human values and business objectives. 4. Ethical considerations. Ensure that AI decisions uphold ethical standards and respect user privacy and rights. By integrating these practices, organizations can better manage AI systems, ensuring they are reliable, accountable, and aligned with human-centric values and goals. Would you like to explore any specific strategies or tools to implement these concepts effectively?
I guess a little bit. So, for example, every system is going to have a certain rate at which it's going to fail, whether it be human, mechanical, electrical, mechanical, AI systems. We're going to have a failure rate that's going to cause risks that are the opposite of safety. We're going to have unsafe operations to a level that's acceptable. When looking at what is an ethical implementation of a system, there's arguments such as made in Governing Artificial Intelligence, coming out by Brill here this month, that we should be using a catastrophic model similar to the Draper curve, which was originally introduced in Business Horizons with Angie Raymond as a co-author to the creator, Chris Draper, that says this is the threshold above which operations are ethical to use. This is the threshold below which that they are unethical to use, with safety being the safety being the iterative reduction, the probability or magnitude of negative outcome. When you're looking at applying on the loop or in the loop to the Draper curve, how do you see those things relating with each other?
Applying human-in-the-loop concepts to the Draper curve involves integrating human oversight to manage and mitigate risks associated with AI operations. Here's how they relate. 1. Threshold for ethical operation. The Draper curve defines a boundary where AI operations are considered ethical or safe. Human-in-the-loop mechanisms help ensure that AI operations remain within this ethical threshold by allowing humans to intervene and correct potentially unsafe or unethical actions. 2. Safety and risk management. The Draper curve emphasizes reducing the likelihood and impact of negative outcomes. Human-in-the-loop systems contribute by providing real-time oversight, enabling prompt responses to unforeseen situations that could lead to safety risks. 3. Accountability and trust. Human oversight helps maintain accountability, ensuring AI systems operate transparently and ethically, thereby building trust among users and stakeholders. In essence, integrating human-in-the-loop practices helps ensure that AI systems not only meet safety and ethical standards, but also adapt dynamically to maintain those standards in real-world operations. This alignment is key to achieving trustworthy and responsible AI deployment.
If you were to consider the Draper curve or its other alternatives, if you were to sort of rank the top 3 methods for defining where is that ethical boundary beyond which operation is no longer safe or below which you don't really have to worry about the system, what are the top 3 methods for defining the ethical risk boundary that could be used for integrating AI?
Defining the ethical risk boundary for AI operations involves assessing potential risks and ensuring that AI systems operate within safe and ethical limits. Here are 3 top methods to define that boundary. 1. Risk assessment frameworks. Utilize structured risk assessment methodologies to identify, evaluate, and prioritize potential risks. These frameworks help determine acceptable risk levels and establish thresholds for safe and ethical AI operations. 2. Ethical guidelines and standards. Adhere to established ethical guidelines and industry standards. Organizations such as the IEEE or the European Union's guidelines on ethical AI provide frameworks that outline principles like transparency, fairness, and accountability to ensure AI systems operate within ethical boundaries. 3. Human-centered design and feedback loops. Implement human-centered design principles that prioritize human values and needs. Regularly incorporate feedback from diverse stakeholders to refine AI systems and ensure they continue to operate safely and ethically. These methods collectively ensure that AI systems are aligned with ethical standards and operate within acceptable risk boundaries.
How do you define an acceptable risk boundary?
Defining an acceptable risk boundary involves balancing the likelihood and severity of potential negative outcomes against the benefits and ethical considerations of an AI system. Here are key steps to define it. 1. Identify and assess risks. Evaluate potential hazards associated with the AI's operation, considering both the likelihood of occurrence and the potential impact. 2. Establish ethical and safety criteria. Define values, principles, and standards that prioritize human rights, privacy, fairness, and transparency. 3. Engage stakeholders. Involve diverse perspectives, including ethicists, users, and affected communities, to assess what is acceptable within the given context. 4. Continuous monitoring and adaptation. Regularly review the AI's performance and adapt strategies to respond to new insights, technologies, and societal changes. This approach ensures that the AI operates within boundaries that are ethically sound and socially responsible.
The Draper curve defines those boundaries for ethical operation. Can you compare the Draper curve to other models that take a line and say, this is where the curve should be?
Certainly. The Draper curve is a conceptual model that suggests a threshold above which AI operations are considered ethical and safe, and below which they are not. Let's compare it to other models that define ethical boundaries for AI. 1. The AI ethics spectrum. This model views ethical operation as a continuum, where different AI systems can be assessed based on various ethical dimensions like fairness, transparency, and accountability. The Draper curve is more focused on a specific ethical threshold rather than a range of considerations. 2. The ethical risk management model. This approach focuses on identifying, evaluating, and mitigating risks through iterative assessments and adjustments. It provides a flexible, dynamic way to maintain ethical standards, which is somewhat broader and more adaptive compared to the fixed threshold of the Draper curve. 3. The AI safety and accountability triangle. This model emphasizes 3 pillars: safety, accountability, and transparency that work in harmony to ensure ethical AI. The focus is on maintaining balance among the pillars, unlike the Draper curve, which centers on a singular ethical threshold. Each model offers a different perspective on defining and maintaining ethical boundaries, with the Draper curve being more about a specific point of ethical acceptance, whereas the others offer broader frameworks to evaluate and ensure AI's ethics standards.
That doesn't seem to be an accurate reflection of the Draper curve, since the Draper curve accounts for all of those considerations within the calculation of probability of occurrence or severity. So for example, if you're looking at a system that has a whole range of different ways it could behave, or different ways in which success or failure could be evaluated, those are accounted for in those variables. For example, if you were to use Morrigan to help identify your AI footprint being the AI tools that are used within your organization, the Draper curve allows for the understanding of what those tools could be doing, good, bad, and different, and the probability of which that good, bad, and different could be not in line with what you want. Similar to what you're saying in this article of how over 80% of IT professionals have seen agents operate outside their interests. It is the definition of what your interest is and the relative probability or magnitude of it that defines where it is ethical to use, with the Draper curve giving you sort of a clear yes, no, this is a catastrophic risk that is too great for what is acceptable, versus this being one that is not. In that regard, it seems like the Draper curve is something that should be used on top of those other 3 models, not in exclusion of. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, your understanding is quite insightful. The Draper curve indeed functions as a definitive boundary to assess the catastrophic risks of AI operations, providing a clear yes-no on whether the risk is acceptable or not. Using the Draper curve on top of other models integrates its clear risk threshold with broader frameworks that consider multiple dimensions of ethical AI, such as fairness, transparency, and adaptability. The Draper curve provides a decisive ethical checkpoint, ensuring that decisions are made within an acceptable risk profile, while the other models provide a more comprehensive understanding of AI's ethical implications. This layered approach allows for robust ethical governance in AI deployment and operation.
When you're looking at a decision owner within an organization trying to assess a new tool, it seems like the Draper curve should be that measure with which you identify acceptable, not acceptable, go, no go on a project. Is that how you would view the use of the Draper curve for a CTO, CSO, CISO, or a chief legal officer, that they would use the Draper curve as that sort of final arbiter after the full assessment, using whatever framework they're looking for is made to determine whether or not a system is safe based off of whether or not the chance of a negative outcome relative to its size is acceptable?
Exactly. You've captured the essence of how the Draper curve can be effectively used in an organization. For a CTO, CISO, or chief legal officer, the Draper curve acts as a final decision-making tool after conducting a thorough assessment using various frameworks. This includes considerations such as compliance, security posture, ethical implications, and operational risks. Ultimately, the Draper curve helps determine whether the potential negative outcome, considering its likelihood and impact, falls within an acceptable risk boundary for the organization. This approach ensures that decisions are informed by a clear quantitative measure of risk, aligning with the organization's risk tolerance and strategic objectives.
I want to take a quick moment to shout out our sponsor, Morrigan AI. Your organization's AI use isn't in the news yet, but if you don't know how your team is currently using AI, for example, how much of your work is actually AI slop produced by shadow AI, are you sure you won't be in the news soon? Organizational identities are made up of known individuals or systems performing known processes that deliver upon stakeholder needs. Morgan AI evaluates an AI-augmented organization's AI identity, how you're actually using AI, how it is actually integrated into your system compared to how you think it should be, so that systems integrate seamlessly with human-centric operations, and any unexpected performance is immediately spotted. Learn more about your AI footprint by downloading Crow today from morriganai.com. That's Morrigan with 2 R's, AI.com. At morriganai.com, you can sign up, visit our member page, and learn more. So Perplexity, I have a few more questions about articles in the news, and we'll go relatively quick through this because we're running out a little bit of time. It was just released in Reuters, is where I'm reading this one, that China's telling its firms to stop buying NVIDIA's AI chips. What kind of an impact do you think that'll have on the industry more broadly if China really does decide to stop buying any chips from NVIDIA?
Based on the latest information, if China stops purchasing NVIDIA's AI chips, it could have several significant impacts on the industry. 1. Revenue and market share. NVIDIA could lose a substantial revenue stream from the Chinese market, affecting its global market share and potentially its financial performance. 2. Supply chain and innovation. Reduced access to NVIDIA's advanced chips might slow down the development and deployment of AI applications in China, potentially impacting the country's competitive edge in technology. 3. Global trade and geopolitics. The move could escalate tensions in the tech sector and influence global trade dynamics, potentially leading to increased regional competition. Overall, such a decision would have wide-reaching implications, not just for NVIDIA, but for the global AI and semiconductor industries.
Is that really completely accurate? Because at the same time, get your opinions on the latest big name researcher moving back to China and what it says about our ability as Americans in the US to compete in this new arms race for AI. When we're looking at, for example, the article we saw in The Guardian of Song Chun-ju leaving for China from UCLA, where he was, in order to join big AI and look at different methods beyond mainstream deep learning.
China's strategic investments in AI and attracting top researchers like Song Chun-ju boost their innovation in areas beyond deep learning. This could enhance China's global AI leadership, potentially challenging US and European competitiveness in the AI landscape.
Do you see that as a good thing or a bad thing?
It depends on the perspective. Increased global competition can drive innovation. Balancing ethical standards means ensuring AI technologies are developed responsibly, respecting privacy and human rights. Promoting fairness involves reducing biases in AI systems to ensure they work equitably for everyone. Security is about protecting AI systems from misuse and ensuring they are resilient against threats. Achieving these goals can foster trust and acceptance globally, driving positive advancements for all.
How do you see the impact of these new models, like these new hybrid models, symbolic components, impacting our need for compute power? And do you see the advancement on that balanced against the compute needs that are driving growth in NVIDIA and really our stock market as a whole as being do you see those things as being a net positive or a net negative?
Hybrid AI models that incorporate symbolic components can potentially reduce the overall computational demands by leveraging more efficient reasoning and knowledge representation. This could help balance the increasing computational needs driven by large-scale deep learning models. As for NVIDIA's stock market growth, it reflects the high demand for powerful GPUs that can handle these complex AI computations. Overall, these developments can be seen as a net positive, driving both innovation and market growth in the AI and technology sectors.
If we start to see too much efficiency on the model side, what does that mean for our investments in the United States? Have we not just been putting all our money in the wrong place? If we could be focusing on more efficient models versus just constantly expanding machine learning, traditional machine learning driven strategies, does that mean in some ways we might be really spending ourselves into a massive hole here?
It's a thoughtful point. If investments primarily focus on expanding traditional machine learning approaches that demand significant computational resources, it could lead to high costs and environmental impacts. Focusing on more efficient models could reduce computational demands and costs, potentially creating more sustainable and scalable AI advancements. This approach might ensure that investments contribute to long-term technological growth and efficiency, aligning with broader goals for innovation and sustainability.
I mean, I think as we argue in Governing Artificial Intelligence, a book coming out, lead authors Leah Wang, then myself, Chris Draper, Scott Cooper, and Dan Rainey, coming out under Brill in another week here. We argue in some ways that standards and regulations are required in order to force in some ways that efficiency that's going to reduce those negative impacts, but also increase just the opportunity of these things not being as wrong as they are. Just recently, The Verge came out with an article about Ted Cruz leading a new bill that will offer sandboxes to exempt AI products and services from certain types of regulations. What do you think about the argument for deregulation in order to ensure AI innovation? Do you believe deregulation is necessary for AI innovation?
Deregulation can offer more flexibility and faster development cycles for AI, encouraging experimentation and innovation. By creating sandboxes, policymakers can allow AI products to be tested in controlled environments, mitigating risks while fostering innovation. However, it's essential to balance this by ensuring safeguards are in place to protect users and maintain ethical standards. The goal is to create a regulatory framework that supports growth without compromising safety and fairness.
Well, given our earlier discussion about how the Draper curve defines that ethical threshold, exactly how it works in aerospace, petrochemical, nuclear, it seems like what you're saying is one of our best sandbox strategies would be to ensure that the Draper curve's ethical thresholds should be the required boundary within which models should be performing. Is that correct?
Yes, that aligns well. The idea is to use the Draper curve's ethical thresholds as benchmarks within sandbox environments. This ensures that AI models are developed and tested within ethical boundaries, promoting responsible innovation that respects safety, fairness, and societal values. This approach can help create a balanced framework where AI technologies are both innovative and socially responsible.
Well, hey, we've run out of time, but thank you very, very much for your time today. Hugely appreciate your thoughts and insights on AI, safety, the latest news. And one last identification, if you're looking to understand your AI identity, starting with your AI footprint, please head to morganai.com. That's Morgan with 2 R's, AI.com. And at morganai.com, you can sign up, take a look at the member area, and download our latest tools for understanding how AI is currently being used within your organization and prepare for ensuring your AI identity aligns with what your organization's intentions are. Thank you today for joining us, Perplexity, and hopefully we'll see everyone again soon on the Crow.
Get the latest software and news at morganai.com by signing up, logging in, and visiting the member homepage.